On a rainy day, my husband took a detour to send his assistant home. Despite being 6 months pregnant, I proposed divorce as soon as I entered the house. Hearing my words, my exhausted husband said incredulously, "Is it worth it just because you had to sit in the car a little longer? Was it just a little while?" It was clearly a 10-minute journey home, yet I was forced to watch them flirt in the back seat for nearly 2 hours. Because I drank a sip of lemon water in the car, my husband, who said I tainted the car with the smell and gave me the silent treatment for 3 days, braved the rain to buy his assistant hot drinks and roasted sweet potatoes when she mentioned a stomachache. Seeing my serious expression, my husband glanced at my pregnant belly. "Don't say I didn't warn you. If we divorce, you and the child in your belly will definitely not have a good life." I smiled without responding. I no longer wanted him, so how could I keep his child? Going out and encountering heavy rain, the ride-hailing app showed over 100 people waiting ahead. With no choice, I called Jason, who had been giving me the silent treatment for 3 days, asking him to pick me up on his way home from work. He arrived quickly, but his assistant was sitting in the passenger seat. "Elena, sorry, Jason said it was raining too hard and he wasn't comfortable with me going home alone. Should I move to the back?" As she touched the door handle, Jason coldly said, "Stay where you are, don't mind her." Zoe stuck out her tongue, her face apologetic, but her eyes full of provocation. I carefully got into the car with my 6-month pregnant belly, but before I could sit properly, the car started, my belly hit the front seat, and I exclaimed in fright as the baby inside moved uneasily. Before I could voice my complaint, Jason muttered, "Is it necessary?" So dramatic, Zoe burst out laughing, then covered her mouth and exchanged a smile with Jason. A strange feeling surged in my heart, but before I could dwell on it, I heard the two in front discussing the next day's itinerary. Outside the car window, the rain poured heavily. I couldn't see clearly outside and could only judge how far we were from home based on memory. When it was time to turn, I noticed Jason didn't signal, so I reminded him, "Aren't you going to drop off Zoe? You can drop me off at the community gate. There are spare umbrellas at the gate, and even if I got a little wet, I could take a hot shower at home." Jason glanced at me through the rearview mirror and said unhurriedly, "There are many cars on the road now, and it might be late by the time I drop off Zoe. I don't want to work hard all day and come home to be questioned by you about the perfume smell on me." The sarcasm was unmistakable. I knew Jason was recalling the argument we had 3 months ago. This pregnancy was hard one, so even though I quit my job to rest at home for the baby and suffered severe morning sickness, the thought of having a child with Jason in a few months made it all worthwhile. The days of nurturing the pregnancy were not comfortable. I endured my mother-in-law's sarcastic remarks while worrying about becoming detached from society due to childbirth. And Jason, on the day I had a minor quarrel with my mother-in-law, came home with a strong perfume smell. Noticing my expression, he proactively explained that the scent was from Zoe. Because she sprained her ankle, and to take her to the hospital, they had a few minutes of physical contact. A woman's sixth sense is indeed mysterious. Before that, I had seen Zoe's name in the company group chat, a young girl who just graduated, sweet and emotionally intelligent. She could joke with many veteran employees in the group within days of joining. I originally liked her, but only if she wasn't Jason's assistant. It's not that I'm possessive, I just didn't understand why Jason, who always pursued efficiency and professionalism, would keep an art major girl by his side and hide it from me. Due to the nature of the industry, the assistants who worked closely with Jason were all male veteran employees who had been with the company for years. It wasn't that Jason was avoiding suspicion. Rather, after experiencing several female assistants who accidentally spilled coffee on him and contracts, an enraged Jason instructed HR that no women should work closely with him. That day, I simply asked why he made an exception for Zoe, and Jason's face darkened as he yelled at me. My mother-in-law chimed in, saying I was too comfortable and looking for trouble. Actually, I had never mentioned my doubts about the perfume smell on Jason before, but months later today, I was inexplicably ridiculed by him, which made me laugh in anger. "Boss, how can you say that about Elena? Pregnancy is very hard." Zoe lightly punched Jason's arm. He, who usually showed no expression in front of others, didn't get angry and instead softly agreed, "You're right, I spoke without thinking." While talking, the car had already moved past 2 intersections. Forcing myself to get out wasn't impossible, but with slippery roads and the rain, I couldn't risk the baby. The car was stuffy, and the emotional ups and downs made the baby kick me unhappily. I opened the window a crack to get some fresh air, but before I could take a breath, Zoe in the front said, "Hiss. So cold." The air conditioning was on, and Zoe, wearing shorts, sat in the passenger seat right in front of an air vent. Before I opened the window, she showed no reaction and even fanned herself. I only opened the window a crack, so how could she suddenly feel cold? I didn't believe Jason couldn't see she was doing it on purpose. But he just gave me a warning look through the rearview mirror. "It's raining so hard outside, why did you open the window? If the car gets dirty, are you going to clean it?" Not to mention that Jason's car is always sent to the car wash by his assistant. How dirty could a little rain make it? In essence, he was just protecting Zoe. "It's stuffy in the car, I can't breathe," I said. Hearing this, Jason didn't say more, but his expression already showed his dissatisfaction. I called Jason with the intention of reconciling, but now it seemed that even walking home in the rain would have been better than this situation. "Why are you so temperamental? Pregnant women are naturally more sensitive to heat than others, how can you not be considerate?" These somewhat overstepping words didn't bother Jason. Instead, he immediately softened his expression. He even freed his right hand to ruffle Zoe's hair. "I was wrong. I shouldn't have lost my temper in front of you. You weren't scared this time, were you?" They started talking about funny work incidents, and for a moment, I felt superfluous in the back seat. "Elena, it's still a while to my house. Are you hungry? I have small bread in my bag, you can eat some first." Saying that, Zoe threw me 2 pieces. Before I could refuse, seeing Zoe tear open the packaging to eat, I quickly said, "Don't, he doesn't like." But before I could finish, Zoe skillfully threw the packaging into the nearby ashtray. And Jason, whom I thought would show dissatisfaction, didn't even look and softly said to Zoe, "Eat slowly, no one's competing with you." Witnessing Jason's different attitude toward another woman, my heart felt squeezed by a big hand. I clenched the small bread, not noticing the packaging rustling. Jason has severe cleanliness issues and hates the smell of food in his bedroom, office, and car. In 4 years of dating and 5 years of marriage, I never broke his rules. The argument 3 days ago was simple. On the way back from my parents' house, I bought a cup of lemon water because I was thirsty, thinking its fresh, subtle scent wouldn't bother Jason. But as soon as I took a sip, Jason suddenly pulled over. "We'll be home in 10 minutes, are you that greedy? Do you have to drink that stuff in my car?" Facing his sudden attack, I was confused and aggrieved, tears streaming down. Jason frowned and sternly reprimanded, "Stop using pregnancy as an excuse. I've never seen a pregnant woman as greedy and dramatic as you. I work hard all day to earn money, can you not annoy me?" Pregnancy hormones made me think of his impatience with me versus his tolerance for Zoe, and I cried again, not wanting to be laughed at. I pressed against the car door, wiped my face hard, took deep breaths, and adjusted my emotions. "Elena, why aren't you eating? These are big brands I bought online, with clean ingredients." Before I could speak, Jason scoffed, "Leave her alone, when she's hungry, she could eat a tree. If she's not eating, she must have stuffed herself at the mall." Looking at Jason's profile from the back seat, I was momentarily dazed. How did he become like this? The boy who once shielded me from rumors, the man who promised to care for me forever, why could he belittle me so disdainfully in front of an outsider? I was lost in my thoughts, feeling the car stop and go. Jason and Zoe's voices went in and out of my ears, but I didn't pay attention to what they were saying, only noticing their occasional laughter, like a couple in love. The car stopped again, and seeing Jason unbuckle his seatbelt and get out, I thought we had reached Zoe's house, but Zoe was still in the passenger seat. After Jason closed the door and walked away, Zoe turned to me, "Elena, when you were dating Jason, did he take care of you like this too?" Seeing my puzzled look, Zoe explained why Jason braved the rain. "I'm on my period, and Jason saw me holding my stomach. Without saying anything, he noticed a roasted sweet potato shop nearby and said he'd buy me something hot to warm my stomach." Zoe's face was full of unconcealed shyness. I wanted to say how attentive Jason was to me when we were dating. He remembered my menstrual cycle better than I did, and whenever my period was near, he'd pay extra attention to my diet, so after we got together, the dysmenorrhea that plagued me for years never recurred. But the Jason who was so attentive to me, I hadn't seen him in a long time, whether intentional or not. Zoe went on about how much Jason cared for her at the company. My chest was clogged with an unknown emotion. I had to try hard to not show anything unusual in front of Zoe. When Jason got back in the car, his clothes were soaked. But he didn't care at all, taking out some hot drinks and roasted sweet potatoes that weren't wet from the bag and handing them to Zoe. Eat them while they're hot. The hot drink is specially made by the boss. I forgot the name, but the boss said it's very effective when you're not feeling well. Zoe smiled and took them, then split the sweet potato in half and handed it to me. Elena, this sweet potato is too big, I can't finish it alone, you have some too. I subconsciously looked at Jason, who noticed and looked at me puzzled. Why are you looking at me? If you want to eat, eat, there are no outsiders here, no need to suppress your appetite. After saying that, he and Zoe exchanged a look and both laughed out loud. I forced a smile and shook my head at Zoe. You eat it, I don't like sweet potatoes, they make me nauseous. Ignoring Jason's puzzled look, I leaned against the car door, my mind in chaos. Zoe, who was refused, turned around and stuffed the half-sweet potato into Jason's arms. Eat it quickly. Roasted sweet potatoes are best when hot. Then, I saw Jason, who scolded me for polluting his car's air with one sip of lemon water, eat the roasted sweet potato, which had a smell 1,000 times stronger, so his principles could be broken, just not by me. Over half an hour later, we arrived at Zoe's house. Jason said, "Wait in the car," and held an umbrella to escort Zoe to her building. In the rain, one stood at the door, the other held the umbrella. Despite nearly an hour of nonstop conversation, I could see their reluctance to part. After saying something, Jason ruffled Zoe's hair again and turned to say goodbye. When he got back in the car, my gaze was still fixed on where they had stood. While putting away the umbrella, he casually said, "I was just confirming with her again about the things to bring for tomorrow's meeting, nothing personal, don't overthink it." Ignoring the sarcasm in his tone, I turned and asked, "Was the roasted sweet potato good?" Jason looked at me puzzled through the rearview mirror. Roasted sweet potato? What? Don't tell me you want to eat it now. I'll tell you in advance, because of the heavy rain, the shop owner has already closed. I didn't answer his question but slowed my speech, enunciating each word. I asked you, was the roasted sweet potato good? Jason finally noticed something was wrong and stared at me without avoiding my gaze. Suddenly, he sneered, "Elena, you're not serious, are you? Just because I bought Zoe a roasted sweet potato, you're upset? As a woman, have you forgotten how painful your own period is? It's pouring rain, and the girl isn't wearing much. What's wrong with me buying her a roasted sweet potato?" 3 consecutive questions, and when I spoke again, my voice was choked. Are your principles only for me? Jason showed a puzzled expression mixed with helplessness, thinking I was being unreasonable again. Because I was thirsty and drank a sip of lemon water, you called me greedy and dramatic, saying I polluted the air in your car. How come Zoe can eat bread and roasted sweet potatoes? Jason's expression froze. After a while, he handed me a tissue, his tone awkward. Well, I didn't think that much. You don't know, Zoe has low blood sugar, she needs to eat something when she feels hungry, or she'll faint. From now on, I won't restrict where you eat. If you want to eat snail noodles in the bedroom or barbecue in the car, I won't say anything. Is that okay? I never thought that one day, my freedom to eat would be granted through another woman. The emotions I'd held back all the way collapsed, and tears kept falling. Jason probably knew he was wrong and didn't show impatience. Seeing that I couldn't calm down for a while, he started the car and slowly turned around. You must be hungry, right? The evening rush hour is over, we can get back faster. Didn't you always want takeout? Use my phone to order whatever you want, order more, don't starve our child. After the morning sickness ended, I did want to eat everything, but fearing the baby would be too big and difficult to deliver, or that eating too much would make postpartum recovery hard, I always restrained myself. Usually, when I argued with Jason, as long as he softened his attitude and admitted his mistake, buying some food would make me forget the issue. But this time, I suddenly felt it was meaningless. On the way back, Jason tried several times to start a conversation, but seeing I didn't respond, he quieted down and drove seriously. There was a lot of water on the road, and by the time we got home, it was completely dark. Jason thought he misheard. He rubbed his temples, his tone weary. What did you just say? I think I misheard. You didn't mishear. I said, let's divorce. Jason widened his eyes in disbelief. Don't tell me it's because of that roasted sweet potato. The idea of divorce didn't come suddenly. When Jason and I had been married for years without children, and my mother-in-law called me a hen that can't lay eggs, I thought about it. When I quit my job to nurture the pregnancy and my mother-in-law frequently came to criticize me for being dramatic and taking myself too seriously, I thought about it. When my mother-in-law told the neighbors that I was being supported by Jason and had no skills except my looks, I thought about it. Countless times when the thought of divorce arose, I quickly convinced myself otherwise because it was Jason I was living with, not his mother. I shouldn't take it out on him. Jason didn't have fundamental issues. He came home right after work, never hid his phone from me, and knowing his mother liked to pick on me, he tried to mediate our relationship whenever possible, speaking well of me in front of her and asking her not to show up unannounced. I knew the company was in a critical development stage, and he was under a lot of work pressure, so when Jason occasionally brought work emotions home and argued with me over trivial matters, I didn't take it to heart and never carried bad feelings to the next day. And Jason could always realize what went wrong afterward and take the initiative to apologize. Such a man, wealthy, family-oriented, able to recognize his mistakes. I never thought I'd really leave him. But today, in the past 2 hours, I seem to have seen another Jason, one whose principles could be broken, extremely patient, and able to laugh and chat even after a day of important meetings and visible fatigue. Only, the person who brought out this side wasn't me. On the way back, besides thinking about our relationship, I was also looking at the company's casual chat group. After resigning, to avoid suspicion, I only kept this group where everyone chats and relaxes, occasionally checking it to see what people were interested in for holiday arrangements. Due to attending prenatal classes and starting to feel sleepy, I hadn't carefully looked at the content for a long time. I didn't expect a sudden whim would let me see how Zoe and Jason interacted at the company. Jason and I almost never appeared together at the company. Plus, in this group, old employees rarely spoke, so newer employees chatted without restraint. They said Zoe and Jason looked good together and encouraged her to work hard to replace the boss's wife. They said Jason and Zoe's clothes matched in color for half a month straight, wondering if they coordinated to wear couple outfits at the company. They said Zoe was Jason's exception, the only female assistant who could eat snacks in his office and nap in his lounge. They said Zoe was lucky to meet such a good boss right after graduation. Just because a partner accidentally touched her hand, Jason got angry and canceled a 6-year cooperation. I did break down emotionally because of a roasted sweet potato, but after calming down, it was Jason's special treatment of Zoe that made me decide. 2 years ago, because I stayed up several nights in a row, I wanted to lie down in your lounge, but you refused because I hadn't changed clothes for 2 days and the shower was broken. A year ago, because I entered your office eating a mint, you said it made you nauseous and reprimanded me in front of several department heads, tearing apart the report I'd worked on all night. I felt aggrieved because you were too strict about separating work and personal life, but over time, I got used to it, thinking you treated everyone the same, which was fine. But it turns out your principles can be overlooked, just not by me. Jason tried to interrupt me several times but didn't speak until I finished. After a while, as I sat on the sofa, Jason said, "They say pregnancy makes you silly for 3 years, but you remember the past so clearly." He gave a bitter smile, wiped his face, and sat next to me. I don't know how to explain, but I can assure you, I'm innocent with Zoe. I believed that, seeing it with my own eyes, I could tell. Their current state was completely like a new couple. They didn't need physical contact, just talking could make them happy for a long time, but being innocent didn't mean he hadn't been tempted. Hearing my words, Jason closed his eyes. I admit, my heart has strayed a bit, but I never thought of having anything with her. Our child is about to be born, and the one I love is you. I also have cleanliness issues. Unlike Jason, I have emotional cleanliness. I can't accept my lover having another woman in his heart. So, hearing Jason's almost confessional words, I said indifferently, "Let's divorce, seeing you now makes me sick." Jason laughed in anger. He laughed ha 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 for a long time, then looked at my pregnant belly. "Have you considered the child? Don't say I didn't warn you. If we divorce, you and the child in your belly will definitely not have a better life than now." He didn't need to worry about that. On the way back, I had already made up my mind. "Let's divorce, we have a prenuptial agreement, and if there are no objections, let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow morning." Seeing my serious expression, not like I was just angry, Jason's face darkened. "Elena, there's no turning back once the arrow is shot. I hope you don't regret it. You know, once I make a decision, I never look back." I nodded, went to the study, took the prenuptial agreement from the safe, found a divorce agreement template online, printed it, and signed my name. When I came out of the study with the two documents, Jason was sitting on the sofa smoking. After I got pregnant, he never had the smell of smoke on him, and seeing me frown, he tugged at the corner of his mouth. "We're getting divorced, I should have the freedom to smoke, right?" I nodded indifferently, handed him the documents and a pen, and gestured for him to sign. Jason stared at me for a long time until the cigarette burned his fingers, snapping him back. 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, at the Civil Affairs Bureau. After saying that, he threw the pen and walked out. The next morning, I met Jason, who had dark circles under his eyes, at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Before entering, he hesitated several times but ultimately said nothing. The divorce certificate would take a month to get. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, Jason seemed a bit relieved. "There's still 30 days, during this time I'll give you a chance to regret." I looked at him seriously and replied, "I won't regret it." After saying that, I ignored Jason's darkened face and turned to leave. I went to the hospital to schedule an induced labor surgery, afraid my parents would worry. I didn't tell anyone, planning to inform them after the surgery. Someone took a photo of Jason and me entering and leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau and posted it in the company group chat. On the way home, the group was lively. Aside from a few asking why we suddenly divorced, others were tagging Zoe, urging her to speed up and win Jason over. Zoe, who rarely spoke in the group recently, posted a photo during lunch break. It was her standing on tiptoe, hugging Jason's neck for a kiss. In the photo, Jason didn't make any move, but he didn't refuse either. Then, a follow-up video was posted, though only 30 seconds. It clearly showed that while Zoe initiated it, Jason soon took control. I saved the video and photo to my album, and when I looked again, both had been deleted. Zoe tried to cover it up by saying, "Sent to the wrong place, everyone, pretend you didn't see it." Due to Jason's special treatment of Zoe and her ability to please people, many in the group liked her. So as soon as she said that, many played along. "Indeed, I didn't see anything. What was sent just now? I missed it, what a pity. Please send it again. I want to see too." Ah. A few said in the group, "Do you still have any morals? Isn't this being the other woman?" Exactly. Your benefits were all applied for by Elena. Isn't this biting the hand that feeds you? But these few were quickly found by the admin and kicked out. Then, someone asked, "There are over 100 people in the group, do you think that person might be here?" As soon as this was said, no one sent messages for a long time. After a while, Zoe said, "What's there to fear? I have nothing to hide." I watched the number of people in the group drop from 136. Most who left were veteran employees who had been with the company for years and rarely spoke in the group. Finally, the number stabilized at 52. Besides 50 new employees and interns who joined this year, the remaining 2 were me and Jason. I created the group. I never thought I'd become the topic of discussion in it one day. Seeing the number stabilize and no messages after the drop, I disbanded it. Perhaps knowing I was pregnant, none of the old employees brought up what happened in the group to me. Only a few hinted that I should be careful not to be deceived by a scumbag. Looking at their concerned expressions, wanting to say something but not daring to, I smiled. Fortunately, they proved I wasn't a terrible person, or I'd feel I'd lived in vain. My smile vanished when I saw Jason's mother at the door. "What's with that expression? Not staying home on a hot day, where have you been fooling around? If you get heat stroke, Jason will have to take you to the doctor again." Since the 3rd month of marriage, Hannah would pick on me from head to toe every time she saw me. Before, for the sake of her being Jason's mother and family stability, I tolerated it and rarely clashed with her. But now, divorced from Jason, how could I still take her anger? Stop coming to trouble me all the time. I'm divorcing your son, this house is mine, don't come again. I didn't know where Jason stayed last night, but knowing his personality, he definitely wouldn't tell his mother about the divorce. Sure enough, hearing me say divorce. Hannah was stunned for a few seconds, then started cursing at me. What's your attitude? This is my son's house, I'll come whenever I want. And who said this house is yours? I don't agree. Hannah grew up in the countryside with a loud voice. Seeing neighbors drawn by her words, embarrassed, I bypassed her to open the door. Just as I was about to close the door, Hannah forced her way in. Elena. I knew you little slut had bad intentions. What, seeing my son making big money, you want to divorce and take his property? Dream on. If I hadn't dodged quickly, Hannah's spit would have landed on my face. Seeing my disgusted expression, she grew even more dissatisfied. She pushed the door open and shouted with all her might, "Come quickly. My daughter-in-law despises me, an old woman, and won't even let me in. Come quickly. My daughter-in-law is cheating with another man and wants to trick my son out of his money." Seeing her get more outrageous, I called the police. As soon as I gave my address, Hannah pounced. "I'll beat you to death, you little slut with no parents to teach you. You want to call the police to take me away? See if I don't kill you." A nearby neighbor, seeing Hannah about to hit a pregnant woman, stepped forward to stop her, but being older and clearly used to a comfortable life, she couldn't match Hannah's strength. If others hadn't arrived in time, that old lady would have fallen due to Hannah's actions. It was because I was distracted by her situation. Hannah seized the chance to jump in front of me. During the pushing, she grabbed my hair and, ignoring my pregnant belly, shoved me hard to the ground. The police station was near the community, so when they arrived, they saw Hannah sitting on me, about to hit me. "Stop. Can't you see she's pregnant?" Hannah was forcibly dragged away by the police. Even then, she kept cursing. What woman proposes divorce while pregnant? The child in her belly must be a bastard. I just want to beat her to death for daring to cuckold my son. If someone hadn't pointed it out, I wouldn't have noticed the inexplicable warmth beneath me. Looking at my blood-stained white dress, I suddenly laughed. In front of everyone, I said to Hannah, "You and your son are truly family. When there's a problem, you never look for the reason in yourselves." Hannah was taken away by the police, and I was sent to the hospital by kind people. On the way, I deliberately called Jason. For some reason, the police hadn't contacted him yet, so as soon as the call connected, Jason mocked. "What, regretting it so soon?" The hospital wasn't far from the company, so Jason and I arrived almost simultaneously. I asked him to lean closer, then took the chance to pull out a tuft of his hair and handed it to the nurse nearby before being wheeled into the operating room under his bewildered gaze. Before the operating room door closed, I heard a now alert Jason anxiously ask the nurse what happened to me and why there was so much blood on the bed. I didn't hear what the nurse said to him. Induced labor is equivalent to giving birth. When I was wheeled out of the operating room, I was covered in sweat. The nurse said Jason left in a hurry after a call, and knowing he went to the police station, I didn't take it to heart. Voluntarily inducing labor differs from being forced to terminate due to an accident. I thought I wouldn't be sad, but seeing the incubator in the corner, my eyes still turned red instantly. My parents rushed over after my call. Seeing me pale on the bed, my mother's tears burst out, and my usually stoic father had red eyes and couldn't speak for a while. I adjusted my emotions and recounted yesterday's events in a calm tone, along with my decision to divorce Jason and my original plan to induce labor, not expecting this to happen because of Hannah. Hearing me emotionlessly repeat Hannah's curses, my father swore in anger. If my mother hadn't stopped him, I think he'd have rushed to the police station immediately. "Elena, do whatever you want, it's our fault for not caring enough, otherwise how could that mother and son bully you like this?" My parents are researchers who love lab work. Influenced by them, I studied a related major in college, but because Jason wanted to start his own business, I gave up a precious research opportunity to join him. I thought my sacrifices were seen by Jason and that he'd love only me for life as he promised at the wedding. I was naive. My calmed father held my hand and asked, "What do you plan to do about Hannah?" "If possible, I'll ask someone to make her suffer a bit inside." My father, devoted to academics and hating backdoor favors, was willing to make an exception for me. Seeing I wanted to refuse, he tightened his grip. "Don't think too much, it's just a phone call. I've dedicated my life to the country, and now that my precious daughter is bullied, I should at least have the right to demand fair treatment." Seeing my father didn't intend to abuse power, I acquiesced to the call. Meanwhile, Jason, who had just paid bail to take Hannah away, saw the police return the money after a call. "Sorry, your mother can't leave yet unless the other party agrees to settle now." When Jason arrived at the hospital, my parents were still there. As soon as he entered, my mother slapped him. Though surprised, Jason didn't dodge. "Elena, I know my mom went too far today, but she's old. Can we settle this? I'll make her come to the hospital to apologize to you." Hearing this, my father kicked Jason down. When he fell, he knocked over the incubator in the corner, the lid fell off, and the smell of blood filled the ward. "That's..." After saying 2 words, the mother realized what it was and burst into tears. Jason stared blankly at the male fetus that had already formed in the box, and did not take the next step for a long time. "Your mother said no woman would propose divorce while pregnant, so she said in front of many people that the child in my belly is a bastard." Hearing my voice, Jason turned back blankly, just in time to see me pull a report from under the pillow. "Remember when I pulled some hair from your head before surgery? This is the paternity test report, show it to your mother." Jason took it and looked. The probability made him tremble all over, and soon, I heard his sobs. "I knew the child in your belly was mine, I never doubted it. Elena, I'm sorry." After saying what needed to be said, seeing me close my eyes, my father stepped forward, pulled Jason up, and pushed him out. "Go, except for getting the divorce certificate in 30 days. Remember to transfer all property belonging to Elena to her name. I'll have someone watch you." My parents, who rarely took vacations, both took over a month off because of my hospitalization. They accompanied me to recuperate, cleared out Jason's things, tried every way to cheer me up, and never mentioned the lost child in front of me. On the day I was discharged, Jason stood far away. He wanted to approach but was deterred by my father's gaze. Since the property division wasn't finalized, I still had Jason's contact info. He kept messaging me daily, more than the past month combined, but I never replied. My mother took me home for postpartum recovery. One day, she tentatively asked if I'd join her and my father in the lab full-time. Almost without hesitation, I nodded. "Yes, as long as you don't mind my low education level, I'm willing to go." My father, pretending to watch TV in the living room, rushed in. "Who dares say your education is low? Once you're rested, start studying, get a PhD first, and your mother and I will personally guide you." A key reason I resolutely started the business with Jason was that I felt my qualifications were too poor compared to my parents'. I feared my intelligence would be crushed by constantly being with big shots, but after this experience, I began to envy my parents' simple work environment. Perhaps the lab is where I truly belong. Hannah, who had been clamoring since being locked up, suddenly quieted down after Jason reappeared. My father later inquired and learned Jason had shown her the stillborn and paternity test report, telling her she'd killed her own grandson with her own hands. On the day we got the divorce certificate, Jason arrived earlier. He forced a smile when he saw me, but seeing no reaction, he lowered his head again. Jason gave me more money than expected. He didn't mention why, but I guessed it was related to the child. Getting the certificate was faster than I imagined, and afterward, I felt an unprecedented relief. "Elena, how have you been these days? Your parents wouldn't let me see you, and you didn't answer my calls." "I was very worried," Jason said. I put the certificate in my bag and looked at him seriously. "Without your mother picking on me, I've been very comfortable." Jason gave a bitter smile and whispered, "I originally thought after you got over your anger, we wouldn't really divorce, but because of my mom." Jason paused, took a deep breath, and said, "I planned to win you back after you calmed down, but things turned out this way." Looking at his stiff smile, I took out my phone and found the photo and video I'd saved a month ago. "The day after we registered, didn't you kiss Zoe?" Saying these things now, don't you think you're being fake? Jason's face turned pale instantly. After a long time, he murmured, now, no matter what I say, you won't believe me. I was just momentarily confused, knowing someone was taking pictures, thinking maybe if you saw them, you'd get jealous and regret. As he spoke, his voice choked. The fact is, I'm the one who regrets. I really don't understand how things got to this point. The car picking me up honked. Hearing it, I lost interest in continuing with Jason and turned to leave. Elena, can I see you again? He asked. I paused, then said without looking back, there's no need for us to meet again. Because Hannah's actions were the main factor in losing the child, and my father requested fair treatment without settlement. 2 months later, Hannah was sentenced to 10 years in court. My parents accompanied me to the hearing. Hannah had aged a lot since I last saw her. Hearing she'd be imprisoned for 10 years, she didn't appeal and kept her head down, lost in thought. I didn't see Jason. It seemed, as I'd said, from the day we got the certificate, we became strangers in the vast sea of people. However, former colleagues occasionally sent me news about Jason. Zoe pressured Jason to marry her, but he refused and transferred her to the sales department. Accustomed to special treatment, she vented her frustrations on colleagues in the sales department, but with many veteran employees there, no one would take her anger for no reason. Treated as invisible, Zoe couldn't stand the humiliation. She barged into the conference room while Jason was negotiating, ruining a hard-earned cooperation. After being fired, Zoe didn't stop. She found every chance to block Jason, and when she couldn't see him, she spread rumors that he took advantage of her and refused responsibility, greatly affecting the company as old employees resigned one by one. Exhausted, Jason went crazy when Zoe blocked his car. He stepped on the gas, hitting her and turning her into a vegetable. Only then did I learn why he wasn't at Hannah's sentencing. He was locked up too. Years later, the research project I joined achieved great success. I finally found the meaning of my life.